I'm sitting here with the girls. We are chilling, as you can see. The girls are having a nap. And because I have nothing else to do with my life right now, I've decided to make a short video where I can explain to you a bit about how the camera works, the technical terms, what's the usage of each setting in a camera, because ever since I've created my Instagram account and I've been posting my photos, I've been flooded with beautiful messages about how much you guys like my photos, and you're asking some questions, and I couldn't be more grateful about that. It makes me happy every day, and it's something that I'm so excited about every day, to see your messages. So a bit about my background. I've studied graphic design. I have a degree and a master's degree in graphic design and graphic communication. After I finished my studies, I started working as a photographer for a lot of years. But when COVID started, I decided to stop working as a photographer. We didn't have any jobs anyway. And I started editing photos of other photographers. The photographers give to me the pictures that they shoot of a couple in their wedding day, and I am responsible for selecting and editing them. So yes, that's my experience with photography until now. Anyway, okay, so the tutorial will be based on a DSLR camera because that's what I've been working on for so many years. DSLR cameras are mainly cameras that have interchangeable lens. You can change this lens and have another lens on depending on what you want to shoot and where you want to shoot it. This is a professional DSLR camera, but there are a lot of semi-professional cameras that are DSLR and have an amazing quality, and they're not very expensive. I think they're about 300 euros, maybe just the body, and then it depends on how much you want to spend on the lens for the added price. This is 5D Mark III. It's the camera that I've been using ever since I was a photographer. I didn't have the need to upgrade later because I stopped working as a photographer, and my cameras were just sitting there. So when I've started the Instagram channel, the Instagram profile, sorry, with photos of my dolls, I had the chance to take my cameras out again, and it really gives me a pleasure because I've always loved photography ever since I was a child. I was trying to use my father's broken camera and pretend to be a photographer, so I really miss photography the last couple of years that we have COVID. Anyway, so as we said before, this is a DSLR camera. These cameras gives us the opportunity to change each of the setting of the camera to shoot exactly what we want. It has an automatic mode also, the green button here, but I never use automatic mode as the camera decides of the settings, so it doesn't give me any freedom. I always shoot in manual mode. You can see here, this is the manual mode, the M, and this is the automatic mode. Okay, so let's see our settings here. The big M here is telling us that we are in manual mode. Next to it we have this 1/80. This is the shutter speed. This is called the shutter speed. This decides of how fast the shutter will click. If the shutter is low, let's say 1/60, then the shutter speed will be slow. So more light will have the chance to enter the camera, and more movement will be captured. So the final photo will be brighter, but it will have more movement in it. It might look blurry. When we made it higher, then the shutter will click fast, so less light will have the chance to enter the camera. The photo will be darker, but it will be sharp. It won't have any blurry movements inside. Okay, I will try to shoot some examples for you to see what I mean, because I understand it's a bit complicated when I'm trying to explain. I'm sorry for my English as well. English is not my native language, and I never speak in English in my everyday life, so I don't have the chance to practice English at all. So yes. So next to it, it's the aperture, which is the magical setting. It's the most magical setting for me. It really depends on your lens, the capabilities of the lens you're going to select to use. My lens is a 50mm with an aperture of 1.2. Our eye is a 50mm lens, basically. So this lens sees what our eye sees. So what that means is that the length of what you see through this lens is the length that you can see with your eyes. While other lenses, like the wide-angle lenses, they capture more of the background from what our eyes can see. I will try to shoot an example for you to understand that as well. And there are the macro lenses that shoot closer from what our eye can see. This is a 50mm lens, and it's what we can see in everyday life with our eyes. Depending on how low the aperture goes, the lens becomes more expensive. So this is the f1.2. I believe it's the lowest that Canon has. I'm not sure, since it's been a lot of time since I've searched for photography equipment. I believe it's the lowest, and it was an expensive lens, but you can easily find a 50mm lens of aperture f1.8, which is around, I think, 100 euros from eBay or Amazon. It's a very cheap lens, and it's very good quality. I mean, it's difficult for me to use f1.2 because I will explain. Okay, so the aperture, what it does, the aperture is how big this circle that allows the light to enter will be. The lowest the aperture, for example, the f1.2, the more open this ring will be, so it will allow more light to be inside the lens all the time, not just when the shutter shuts. The higher the aperture, the smaller the ring, and less light can come in the camera. How that helps us, what that can do, why I'm saying that it's the magical setting. When the aperture is very open, then the photo that will come out of the camera will have a sharp object, for example, one of my dolls, I shoot my doll, and the doll is clear, it's sharp, but the background is very blurry if I open the aperture very much. This is the so-called bokeh. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but it's beautiful because it surrounds the subject and it creates this blurriness around it, and you can only see the subject basically. It focuses the attention on the subject. The higher the aperture, the sharper the background will look. I will have an example for you to see here as well. The difficulty with having a very low aperture though is that because of that blurriness, it's very possible that the main subject will be a bit out of focus, or a lot out of focus. And many times you won't be able to see that the subject is out of focus because this little screen here is very small to identify how out of focus your subject will be. Of course, if it's a lot of out of focus, it's clear, you can see that, but many times I've had trouble with this in the past. I was trying to shoot a baby at a christening, for example, and the baby looked very nice in my screen here, and once I've copied my photos on the computer that has a big screen, I could see the baby and it was blurry. So I'm getting so angry when I do that. So when there are events like christenings and weddings, I prefer to keep my aperture at 2.0. I prefer it. I don't do it anymore. Anyway. But for this situation here, that we have our dolls that are static, and we have the freedom of time, and we don't care if we shoot a couple of photos that are out of focus, then I think it's idyllic to go f1.2, f1.4, somewhere around there I shoot most of the times. Okay, so this is the aperture setting, and let's see what we have here next, and the ISO. I think I will just show you these three settings, which are the basic ones. I don't want to confuse you anymore. This is not a photography tutorial, this is a photography tutorial for dolls, and these are the three settings that mainly you're gonna need to know how they use. Maybe white balance as well, I can show you that as well. Anyway, the ISO decides how light your photo will be basically. If the rest of the settings do not allow you to take a photo that will be decent in brightness light, then the ISO can help you with that. For example, if I am somewhere that is dark, okay, then I'm going to need to lower my shutter speed at around 100 to 125, because if you make the setting lower, then especially in dark conditions, the photo will appear moved, shaky. So we prefer to keep it at 100 to 125, okay? So the aperture, let's say we keep it at 1.8 at dark situations, okay? In this example, and the photo still looks very dark. What can we do about that? We can go to our ISO and make it higher. The higher the ISO, the brighter the photo. My camera has a capability of going till 25,600. There are cameras that go beyond that, and there are cameras that go lower than that. It depends on the quality basically of your camera, of how expensive unfortunately your camera can be. But right now the same professional cameras have actually a really decent ISO setting, so it shouldn't be a problem. And I mean, you won't shoot at a wedding that there are dark situations in a church or at the venue where it's completely nighttime, it's completely dark, and you need a high ISO. Okay, so the last setting that I want to show you is the white balance setting. This setting arranges basically the colors of the photo you're gonna use depending on the light situation you have. For example, okay, this is an auto white balance. The camera decides of how yellow, blue your photo will be. This is a daily light mode. It's when the time you're shooting has a lot of sun, it's out in the sun. This is what you can shoot in shade, so you need a bit more yellow in it because the shade has blue colors mainly. This is the setting where it's cloudy, tungsten light, white fluorescent light, when you have flash, custom, and this is what I'm using. Basically, the higher the K, the more yellow will be in the photo. The lower the K, the more blue will be in the photo. So I usually go with the K. I like everything to be completely manual, to have the full control of what I am shooting. So yes, these are the main settings that someone will need to know in order to take photos with absolute control. So I was thinking about making a tutorial about how to control the settings of your phone, but the truth is that I searched a bit for it and I saw that you can adjust the settings of your phone's camera by downloading an application on it, and I will try to find an application for a phone that has exactly the same settings control as my camera, so they will apply on there as well. Just one thing that can help you with it is for the aperture. Keep in mind that, because I forgot to say it before when I was talking about apertures, the aperture is the magic number. I'm reminding you. The closer you are to a subject, for example, the closer I am the lens, the closer the lens is to my dough, and the further the subject is from the background, gives us a more blurry background. Okay, I will shoot an example for you to see for that as well. So if I shoot my doll and my doll is here, okay, even if my aperture is at f1.2, then because the background is very close to my girl, it won't have much of a blurriness. You won't understand a lot of things because it's very close to the background. But if, for example, I have my girl, sorry Tora. If, for example, I have my doll here, then the background is a bit far away, so it will be able to create a blurriness. If you don't want to download an external app, you can just use the background. Take photos where the background is very far away in portrait mode, okay? Switch your camera's phone on portrait mode and shoot your subject close to your phone with the background that's very far away. And that will also create a blurry background if that's what you want to achieve. So yes, I hope what I've told you today was interesting. I hope I helped you a bit to understand how cameras work and how I have this result in my photos. If anyone has any questions, I'm honestly very open to answer them, and actually I will be very happy to answer them. I really like talking with every one of you. I'm learning a lot of things from you too, and I really appreciate this amazing community of dolls. And okay, I want more dolls soon. I hope I will be able to get them. I'm currently waiting for my 5th doll from Pen Dolls. I'm so excited about that, and I will make an unboxing video. So yes, for the rest, you can leave a comment if you have any questions, or send me a private message on my Instagram, anything that is more suitable for you. If anything wasn't clear, I'm so sorry for my English. You can write to me and ask me more specifically about something that you didn't understand or need help with your own photos. Yes, so please take care, play with your dollies, and we'll talk more on Instagram. Bye bye.